I walk with Christ. And if people fought against Christ, people are going to fight against me. If I walk with Christ, if the devil fought against Christ, then the devil is going to fight against me. But I want to make sure that I'm ready to suffer. And let me tell you, you're not going to walk far in the Christian life if you are not willing to suffer sometime. If every time somebody talks about you, you are going to quit, you're never going to make any progress. If every time the devil makes something go against you, you're going to stop, you're never going to go anywhere far in the Christian life. You have to make up your mind, I'm willing to suffer for Jesus Christ. Just like he suffered for me, I'm willing to suffer for him. I'm willing to go through some things. Everybody might not go with me, but if they don't, I'll go by myself. I might have some lonely moments in my life from a human point of view, because some people might turn their backs on me. While I'm trying to be faithful to the Lord, men might talk about me even when I'm doing the very best that I can. The devil might set up all kind of roadblocks in my way, cause me to be misunderstood when I'm trying to do the right thing. Again, having people that I put my trust in who betray me. But he says, I made up my mind that no matter what faces me, I want to be in fellowship with his suffering. So therefore, when they beat the Apostle Paul and left him for dead, the Bible says when they resuscitated him, when he got his strength back, he went right back to preaching. Because he said, I don't care if you beat me, you can't stop me from preaching. I don't care if you lock me up. If I can't get out on the street, I'll preach through a letter. If I can't witness on the outside, I'll witness on the inside. If you beat me and leave me for dead because you whipped me with 39 lashes, I still will not give up my commitment to Jesus Christ. I want to be a part of the fellowship of his suffering. Let me challenge you tonight with this question. What will it take to stop you from standing up for Jesus Christ? What will it take to stop you from working in the church of Jesus Christ? There are some folk right now who won't work in the church because somebody left their name off the program. There's somebody right now who won't work in church because somebody was rude to them when they showed up at the church house. There's somebody who won't work in church right now because they gave more money than anybody else. Their name was never recognized. There are some people right now who won't do anything for the Lord because no matter how hard they try, they face opposition in the church. The devil knows how to just stop some folk because he knows that many times we're not willing to suffer for the Lord. But the Apostle Paul wanted the devil to understand, and everybody else, it will take a whole lot to stop me. That no matter what you try to do, my commitment to Jesus Christ is that I am willing to suffer for him. You don't really know how much you love him until you know how much you're willing to suffer for him, how much you're willing to give up for him. The Apostle Paul says, I understand what he gave up for me. And since he gave up so much for me, I'm willing to give up whatever I need to give up for him. You might say, well, they're going to talk about you. They talked about him for me. You might say they might beat you. They beat him for me. You might say they might reject you. They rejected him for me. Everything that he suffered it for me. And if he can suffer for me, I can suffer for him. That's why you can leave my name off the program and I'll still do my part. That's why you don't have to mention how much I gave and I'll still give in the next offering. That's why nobody might appreciate what I've done, but I'll still do it the next time. I'm not doing it just for the church members. I'm doing it for the one who died to save my soul. He suffered for me, and so I'm willing to suffer for him. The Apostle Paul went through a lot because he wanted to share in the fellowship of his suffering. When you got that kind of resurrection power, if you say, since I got that kind of power, I will now identify with his suffering. He says, how much suffering? He says, even conformable to his death. He said that Christ didn't suffer until he died. He suffered right on through death. Christ says that no matter what you do, I'm going to still serve the Lord. He was in the Garden of Gethsemane. If there is another way whereby I can save men and fulfill God's plan to die on Calvary's cross, then becoming sin, the Holy One becoming sin to save the unholy ones. But if there's another way to do it, I'll find another way, Lord. But the Bible said, no, there's no other way to do it. So Jesus says, thy will be done. And he was faithful even unto death. The Apostle Paul says that even if it costs me, I'm still willing to serve Jesus Christ. Right now we're dealing with terrorists all over the world. And one of the great difficulties we have in dealing with terrorists And so many of them are not afraid to die. So many of them have made up their mind, I'll give my life for my cause. And the world doesn't know what to do with people who will give their life for a cause. But the people of God ought to be like the Apostle Paul. Paul says, if necessary, I'll give my life for the cause of the Lord. That's why even right now he's in that Roman jail. He could have gotten out. He could have gotten away. All he had to do was just stop talking about Jesus. All he had to do was just go back and act like society wanted him to act. But the Apostle Paul's position was, my life is not so dear to me that I would not give it up for Jesus Christ. He had gotten to a point in his life where he says, I'm willing to be conformable to Jesus Christ, even if it means dying. The question that you and I as church members have to ask ourselves today, once again, is how far would you go just to be faithful to Jesus Christ? How much would you take just to be faithful to Jesus Christ? Does he mean more to you than your very life? That's easy to say, but you really don't know until you start getting faced with some situations where you say, I'll give up my reputation, I'll give up my worldly goods, I'll give up my position. Nothing matters as much to me as my commitment to Jesus Christ. So he lived for Jesus Christ, but he said also, I'm willing to die for Jesus Christ. While the Apostle Paul lived on earth, the Apostle Paul gave up a lot for Jesus Christ. But he concludes telling them about his situation as he moves on to verse number 11. He says, if by any means I might attain unto the resurrection of the dead. Here's what the Apostle Paul is saying now. I want to be faithful to him because I know how all of this is going to end. And one thing that ought to give us motivation is that we know how the story ends. One of the things that ought to keep us going is that we know we never can lose more than we are going to gain. What God has in store for us is worth more than anything that we could lose in this life. One thing the believer ought to understand is in the end, we win. In the end, we do win. In the end, everything works out in our favor. So no matter what you have to go through while you're down here, when the resurrection of the dead takes place, God is going to give you more than you could have ever had any other kind of way. So the Apostle Paul looks right past his trouble. He looks right past the opposition. He looks right past the naysayers. He looks right past the fatigue he feels in his own body. He looks right past the things that he has given up, and he looks past that and he sees what God has in store for him. He knows that a day is coming when God is going to deliver him from all opposition. He knows that a day is coming when God is going to perfect him in every way. He knows a day is coming when he is going to have a perfect body. He knows a day when it's coming when his joy is going to be perfect and complete. He knows that there's going to come a day when he will be like Jesus Christ. He knows that that day is coming, and so that day motivates him. He just keeps on going because he's looking forward to the day when he has an opportunity to see Jesus. Some people can't work too hard for the Lord because you got to have all your reward down here. But let me tell you, some of the reward God has for you, you can't get it while you're down here. They might give a pastor's anniversary, but you can't really get your whole reward down here. They might say some nice things about you, and you might get elevated in some positions in the world and in the church structure. But none of that can compare with what God has for you. When you put your hope on eternal things, when you say my final destination is glory, when you say that the thing that again I place the most value on is not what money can buy, but what money cannot buy. When you say that the one I want to please the most is not human beings who are right around me, but the God that I have been living my life for. And maybe that's why the songwriter says, when I see Jesus, amen. Amen. When I see the one who died for me, amen. That's what Paul was saying. I'm just looking forward to the day when I see Jesus Christ in all of his splendor and in all of his glory, and I get to spend all of eternity with him. So I'm living my life not just for time, I'm living my life for eternity. Sometimes we worry too much about death. But for the believer, you ought not be worried about death, because you know that when you die, you're going to go immediately into the presence of the Lord. The Apostle Paul understood we live on earth for a temporary time. but we will live in eternity forever. And so therefore, I look at the little time that I spend here, and I look at eternity that I'm going to spend over there. So I learn how to live my life here with the understanding that I'm going to really spend my best years over there. And so therefore, I can have a nice car, but I can ride in it like it's a taxi. I can have a nice house, but I can live in it like it's a hotel. I can have some nice suits, but I can wear them like it's the one I'm going to wear for the last time. I can have some money, but I can use it because I know I cannot take it with me. My hope is really, again, built on nothing less than Jesus Christ and his righteousness. I look forward to what he has in store for me. That's why when people look at the believer and they talk about rich man, poor man, sometimes people look at Christians and they say you all are poor. So many of you don't have very much. You don't have mansions. You don't ride in limousines. You don't live in a penthouse in a high-rise apartment. But a believer understands that you might see me as being poor. But let me tell you, I'm not poor. I'm rich. I'm rich because of what God has in store for me. I might not live in a mansion down here, but I sure enough got a mansion over there. I might not have much gold down here, but gold is going to be building material over there. I might not have many pearls down here, but the gates will be made out of pearls over there. I might not have many of this world's good, but God is going to give me so much more than the things that God has in store for me cannot be compared with what I give up down here. So the Apostle Paul says, my life is a life of thanksgiving. My life is a life that tells God, I appreciate everything you've done for me, and I appreciate everything you have in store for me. And I don't just want to say it with my mouth, I want to live it with my life. I don't just want to say it with my mouth, I want to show it with every fiber of my being. I don't just want to say it with my mouth, I want my life to be a living testimony. I don't just want to sacrifice a little this Sunday and next Sunday. I want to sacrifice my whole life to you, just like you gave your life for me. I want to give my life for you, just like you were not ashamed of me. I don't want to be ashamed of you, just like you were willing to die for me. I want to be willing to die for you. But I know that if I die for you, just like you died for me, I know that just like God raised you up, God is going to raise me up too. So I live my life with a whole nother mindset. I dare not get caught up in the world's way of thinking and in the world's way of living, because I know who my God is, and I just want to get to know him better. I want to get to know God so much better that when somebody calls me, I can just not answer the phone because I'm already talking to somebody. I want to know him so well that when I'm talking to somebody, he can switch in and out, switch the other person out, and switch him in because he has priority in my life. I want to know him so well that while I'm sitting on the job and somebody says something and I'm about to go out, before I can go out, he whispers in my ear and say, hold your tongue, because you're my child and you represent me. I want to know him so well that again, when I feel that I'm weak and can't go on, he whispers in my ear and tells me that he will give me the strength that I need. And I want to just get closer and closer and closer so that I just walk with him day by day. And one day I walk out of time and I walk on into eternity. So if you hear one day that Delbert Mack died, don't worry about it. Don't get upset. Don't cry. Don't weep. Don't be sad. Because when you hear that, that means the one that I served while I was down here has allowed me to come up to where he is and spend all of eternity with him. I have some spiritual ambition. I don't want to stay where I am. I don't want to just remain like I am. I want to be better for the Lord. I want to know him better, be used more by him. And I challenge you tonight, if you're a child of God, to have some spiritual ambition. Want to know your Bible better. Want to have a better prayer life. Want to work more in the church of the living God. I challenge you tonight to have some spiritual ambition. Want to let Christ shine more through you. I challenge you to have some spiritual ambition and want to see more people come to Jesus Christ because of what God does through you. And if you're not a Christian tonight, let me tell you that Jesus Christ has done everything necessary so that your soul can be saved. You might be enjoying this world in which you live, but I want to suggest to you tonight that you need to ask yourself the question, when this life is over, when it's time for you to leave this planet, do you have a place to go? And if you don't have a place to go, that's a good place. I suggest tonight that you accept Jesus Christ as your Savior and Lord, and He will take you places that you can only go through Him. Have some spiritual